Welcome, everybody. Let us start today's reading challenge. Chapter 8: A Balanced Life. The truth is, balance is bunk. It is an unattainable pipe dream. The quest for balance between work and life, as we have come to think of it, isn't just a losing proposition, it's a hurtful, destructive one. Keith H. Hammond. Nothing ever achieves absolute balance. Nothing. No matter how imperceptible it might be, what appears to be a state of balance is something entirely different, an act of balancing. Viewed wistfully as a noun, balance is lived practically as a verb, seen as something we ultimately attain. Balance is actually something we constantly do. A balanced life is a myth, a misleading concept most accept as a worthy and attainable goal without ever stopping to truly consider it. I want you to consider it. I want you to challenge it. I want you to reject it. A balanced life is a lie. The idea of balance is exactly that, an idea. In philosophy, the golden mean is the moderate middle between polar extremes, a concept used to describe a place between two positions that is more desirable than one state or the other. This is a grand idea, but not a very practical one, idealistic, but not realistic. Balance doesn't exist. This is tough to conceive, much less believe, mainly because one of the most frequent laments is I need more balance, a common mantra for what's missing in most lives. We hear about balance so much, we automatically assume it's exactly what we should be seeking. It's not. Purpose, meaning, significance. These are what make a successful life. Seek them, and you will most certainly live your life out of balance, crisscrossing an invisible middle line as you pursue your priorities. The act of living a full life by giving time to what matters most is a balancing act. Extraordinary results require focused attention and time. Time on one thing means time away from another. This makes balance impossible. The genesis of a myth. Historically, balancing our lives is a noble privilege to even consider. For thousands of years, work was life. If you didn't work, hunt game, harvest crops, or raise livestock, you didn't live long. But things changed. Jarred diamonds, Pulitzer Prize winning guns, germs, and steel. The pets of human societies illustrate how farm based societies that generated a surplus of food ultimately gave rise to professional specialization. 12,000 years ago, everybody on earth was a hunter gatherer. Now, almost all of us are farmers or else are fed by farmers. This freedom from having to forage or farm allowed people to become scholars and craftsmen. Some worked to put food on our tables while others built the tables. At first, most people worked according to their needs and ambitions. The blacksmith didn't have to stay at the forge until 5 p.m. He could go home when the horses' feet were short. The 19th century industrialization saw for the first time large numbers working for someone else. The story became one of hard driving bosses, year round schedules, and lighted factories that ignored dawn and dusk. Subsequently, the 20th century witnessed the start of significant grassroots movements to protect workers and limit work hours. Still, still, the term work-life balance wasn't coined until the mid 1980s, when more than half of all married women joined the workforce. To paraphrase Ralph E. Gomory's preface in the 2005 book Being Together, Working Apart, Dual Career Families and Work Life Balance, we went from a family unit with a breadwinner and a homemaker to one with two breadwinners and no homemakers. Anyone with a pulse knows who got stuck with the extra work in the beginning. However, by the 90s, work life balance had quickly become a common watchword for men too. A LexisNexis survey of the top 100 newspapers and magazines around the world shows a dramatic rise in the number of articles on the topic, from 32 in the decade from 1986 to 1996 to a high of 1674 articles in 2007 alone. It's probably not a coincidence that the ramped up of technology parallels the rise in the belief that something is missing in our lives. Infiltrated space and fewer boundaries will do that. Rooted in real life challenges, the idea of work life balance has clearly captured our minds and imagination. Middle mismanagement. The desire for balance makes sense. Enough time for everything and everything done in time. It sounds so appealing that just thinking about it makes us feel serene and peaceful. But uh, this calm is so real that we just know it's the way life was meant to be. But it's not. If you think of balance as the middle, then out of balance is when you are away from it. Get too far away from the middle and you are living at the extremes. The problem with living in the middle is that it prevents you from making extraordinary time commitments to anything. In your effort to attain to all things, everything gets shortchanged and nothing gets its due. Sometimes this can be okay and sometimes not. Knowing when to pursue the middle and when to pursue the extremes is in essence the true beginning of wisdom. Extraordinary results are achieved by these negotiation with your time. The reason we shouldn't pursue balance is that the magic never happens in the middle. Magic happens at the extremes. The dilemma is that chasing the extremes presents real challenges. We naturally understand that success lies at the outer edges, but we don't know how to manage our lives while we we are our we are out there. When you work too long, eventually our personal life suffers, falling prey to the belief that long hours are virtuous. We unfairly blame work when we say, I have no life. Often it's just the opposite. Even if our work life doesn't interfere, our personal life itself can be so full of have tos that we again reach the same defeated conclusion, I have no life. And sometimes we get hit from both sides. Some of us face so many personal and professional demands that everything suffers. Breakdown imminent, we once again declare, I have no life. Just like playing to the extremes is the kind of middle mismanagement that plays out all the time. Time wait, time waits for no one. My wife once told me the story of a friend of hers. The friend's mother was a school teacher and her father was a farmer. They had screamed, saved and done with less their entire lives in anticipation of retirement and travel. The woman fondly remember the regular shopping trips she and her mother would take to the local fabric store where they would pick out some fabric and patterns. The mother explained that when she retired, these would be her travel clothes. She never got to her retirement years. In her final year of teaching, she developed cancer and later died. The father never felt good about spending the money they had saved, believing that it was their money, and now she wasn't there to share it with him. When he passed away, and my wife's friend went to clean out her parents' home, she discovered a closet full of fabric and dress patterns. The father had never cleaned it out. He couldn't. It represented too much. It was as if its contents were so full of unfulfilled promises that they were too heavy to lift. Time waits for no one. Push something to an extreme and postponement can become permanent. I once knew a highly successful businessman who had worked long days and weekends for most of his life, sincere in his belief that he was doing it all for his family. Someday, when he was done, he would all they would all enjoy the fruits of his labor, spend the time together, travel, and do all the things that never done. After giving many years of building his company, he had recently sold it and was open to discussing what he might do next. I asked him how he was doing, and he proudly proclaimed that he was fine. When I was building the business, I was never home and rarely saw my family. So now I am with them on vacation, making up for lost time. You know how it is, right? Now that I have the money and the time, I am getting those years back. Do you really think we can ever get back a child's bedtime story or birthday? Is a party for a 5-year old with imaginary pals the same as dinner with a teenager with high school friends? Is an adult attending a young child's soccer game on par with attending a soccer game with an adult child? Do you think you can cut a deal with God that time stands still for you? Time stands still for you, holding off on anything important until, until you are ready to participate again. When you gamble with your time, you may be placing a bet you can't cover. Even if you are sure you can win, be careful that you can live with what you lose. Toying with time will lead you down a rabbit hole with no way out. Believing this lie does its harm by convincing you to do things you shouldn't and stop doing things you should. Middle mismanagement can be one of the most destructive things you ever do. You can't ignore the inevitability of time. So if achieving balance is a lie, then what do you do? Counterbalance. Replace the word balance with counterbalance. And what you experience makes sense. The things we presume to have balance are really just counterbalancing. The ballerina is a classic example. When the ballerina poses in pointe, she became appears she can appear light weightless. She can appear weightless, floating on air. The very idea of balance and grace. A closer look would reveal her toe shoes vibrating rapidly, making minute adjustments for balance. Counterbalancing done well gives the illusion of balance. Counterbalancing, the long and the short of it. When we say we are out of balance, we are usually referring to a sense that some priorities, things that matter to us, are being underserved or unmet. The problem is that when you focus on what is important, truly important, something will always be underserved. No matter how hard you try, there will always be things left undone at the end of your day, week, month, year, and life. Trying to get them all done is folly. When the things that matter most get done, you will still be left with a sense of things being undone, a sense of imbalance. Leaving some things undone is a necessary trade off for extraordinary results. But you can't leave everything undone. And that's where counterbalancing comes in. The idea of counterbalancing is that you never go so far that you can't find your way back, or stay so long that there's nothing waiting for you when you return. This is so important that your very life may hang in the balance. An 11-year study of nearly 7,100 British civil servants concluded that habitual long hours can be deadly. Researchers saw that individuals who worked more than 11 hours a day, a 55 plus hour worksheet, were 67% more likely to suffer from heart disease. Counterbalancing is not only about your sense of well being, it's essential to your well being. There are two types of counterbalancing: the balancing between work and personal life, and the balancing within each. In the world of professional success, it's not about how much overtime you put in. The key ingredient is focused time over time. To achieve an extraordinary result, you must choose what matters most and give it all the time it demands. This requires getting extremely out of balance in relation to all other work issues, with only infrequent counterbalancing to address them. In your personal world, awareness is the essential ingredient. Awareness of your spirit and body, awareness of your family and friends, awareness of your personal needs. None of these can be sacrificed if you intend to have a life, so you can never forsake them for work or one for the other. You can move back and forth quickly. You can move back and forth quickly between these and often even combine the activities around them. But you can't neglect any of them for long. Your personal life requires tight counterbalancing. Whether or not to go out of balance isn't really the question. The question is, do you go short or long? In your personal life, go short and avoid long periods where you are out of balance. Going short lets you stay connected to all the things that matter most and move them along together. In your professional life, go long and make peace with the idea that the pursuit of extraordinary results may require you to be out of balance for long periods. Going long allows you to focus on what matters most, even at the expense of other, lesser priorities. In your personal life, nothing gets left behind. At work, it's required. In his novel Sujane's Diary for Nicholas, James Patterson artfully highlights where our priorities lie in our personal and professional balancing act. Imagine life is a game in which you are juggling five balls. The balls are cold, work, family, health, friends, and integrity, and you are keeping all of them in the air. But one day, you finally come to understand that work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it will bounce back. The other four balls, family, health, friends, and integrity, are made of glass. If you drop one of these, it will be irrevocably, irrevocably scuffed, nicked, perhaps even shattered. Life is a balancing act. The question is, the question of balance is really a question of priority. When you change your language from balancing to prioritizing, prioritizing, you see your choices more clearly and open the door for changing your destiny. Extraordinary results demands that you set a priority and act on it. When you act on your priority, you will automatically go out of balance, giving more time to one thing over another. The challenge then doesn't become one of not going out of balance, for in fact you must. The challenge becomes how long you stay on your priority. To be able to address your priorities outside of work, be clear about your most important work priority so you can get it done. Then go home and be clear about your priorities there so you can get back to work. When you are supposed to be working, work. And when you are supposed to be playing, play. It's a weird tightrope you are walking, but it's only when you get your priorities mixed up that things fall apart. Big ideas. Number one, think about two balancing buckets. Separate your work life and personal life into two distinct buckets, not to compartmentalize them, just for counterbalancing. Each has its own its each has its own counterbalancing goals and approaches. Counterbalance your work bucket. View work as involving a skill or knowledge that must be mastered. This will cause you to give disproportionate time for your one thing and will throw the rest of your work day, week, month, and year continually out of balance. Your work life is divided into two distinct areas: what matters most and everything else. You will have to take what matters to the extremes and be okay with what happens to the rest. Professional success requires it. Number three, counterbalance your personal life bucket. Acknowledge that your life actually has multiple areas and that it requires a minimum of attention for you to feel that you have a life. Drop anyone and you will feel the effects. This requires constant awareness. You must never go too long or too far without counterbalancing them so that they are all active areas of your life. Your personal life requires it. Start leading a counterbalanced life. Let the right things take precedence when they should and get to the rest when you can. An extraordinary life is a counterbalancing act.